How emotional ghosts became the most dangerous players in modern society. There's a breed of person who walks into any situation and says almost nothing. Zero noise, zero performance, but somehow, they leave owning the entire room. They don't chase respect, they create hunger for it. And hunger, my friend, is the ultimate control mechanism. You will be surprised. While everyone's broadcasting their entire existence online, every opinion, every meal, every breakdown, there's a silent minority operating on a completely different frequency. They've learned what ancient warriors knew instinctively: the less you reveal, the more powerful you become. This isn't social anxiety. This isn't fear of judgment. This is psychological warfare disguised as personality. Think about it. Ever notice how the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful? The billionaire doesn't need to announce wealth. The apex predator doesn't advertise hunger. The grandmaster doesn't explain moves. Social invisibility works like those chemical traces NSIS agents hunt. You can't see it, but it's rewriting the entire environment around you. When you refuse to feed the validation circus, something disturbing happens. People start projecting power onto you. They fill your silence with their imagination. And imagination, when directed at you, creates mystique. Mystique creates fascination. Fascination creates influence. You become a blank canvas where others paint their fantasies of who you might be. The power law at work: always say less than necessary, but not just in words, in your entire presence. Your lack of drama becomes the drama. Your silence becomes the loudest statement. Your absence of reaction becomes the most powerful reaction in the space. It's counterintuitive. It's unsettling, and it works with surgical precision. Some confuse this with playing hard to get. Wrong. This is you literally removing yourself from the approval game that drains 90% of the population. You're not playing chess while others play checkers. You've left the board entirely, and you're watching from above. Here's the dark part. This works because most people are desperate to fill emotional voids. They hate psychological vacuums. So they throw attention, resources, curiosity into the emptiness you create, without you doing a single thing. But here's the question nobody wants to face. If social invisibility generates this much power, why do we keep performing like circus animals on digital stages? Because the answer to that question reveals something you're not ready to admit yet. What if every social interaction is poker, and you're showing all your cards? Every time you post a strong opinion, you're not being authentic, you're handing free ammunition to people playing in silent mode. Let's cut to the brutal truth. Social media isn't a platform for expression. It's a psychological data mining operation. Every post is a confession. Every comment is a cataloged vulnerability. Every emotional story or motivational rant is a psychological map that smart people are mentally archiving. Know who figured this out first? Military interrogators. They discovered that the more someone talks, the more emotional patterns you can map. Anxieties, triggers, fears, repressed desires. A 6-hour interrogation can be reduced to 3 precise questions if you already know the person's emotional terrain. And you're giving away that terrain for free on Twitter. Now think about the opposite. The person who never complains publicly, who never explains their decisions, who never justifies their moves. You cannot read that person, and what you cannot read, you fear or respect, sometimes both simultaneously. Ancient strategists called this still water. The calm surface that doesn't reveal depth could be 10 inches or 10 feet deep. You simply don't know, and that uncertainty creates psychological weight. Like those moments in investigation rooms where the suspect stays silent and the interrogator starts sweating because there's nothing to grip onto. The power law in action: use absence to create value and increase respect. But not just physical absence, public emotional absence. You disappear from the gossip radar, from the judgment radar, from the social comparison radar, and suddenly, you're operating in a dimension where normal rules don't apply. Here's the sinister trick. The less people know about your problems, the more they assume you have none. The less you complain, the stronger you appear. The less you celebrate publicly, the more impressive your wins seem when they finally surface. Is it illusion? Absolutely. But power has always been 70% perception. There's a reason ancient generals kept troop numbers secret. Why organized crime bosses never spoke on phones. Why elite hackers never brag online. Information is currency, and you're throwing your fortune in the trash every time you turn your life into a reality show. The question that eats at you: if you stopped narrating your life publicly for 6 months, who would you actually be? And do you have the courage to find out? Why? Being an emotional phantom gives you unfair advantage. Imagine a warrior who tells the enemy exactly how they'll attack. Now imagine someone posting, "Quitting my job today," on social media. Same suicidal energy. The harsh truth nobody discusses: emotionally transparent people are easy targets. Not because the universe is cruel, simply because strategy requires opacity. Ever watch a predator hunt? Zero telegraphing, zero warning, just execution. Meanwhile, modern humans announce every feeling like they're asking permission to exist. Being strategically antisocial doesn't mean hating people. It means understanding that every emotional detail you share is a lever others can use against you. Toxic boss knows you crave recognition. They'll weaponize it. Manipulative ex knows your triggers. They'll push them at the perfect moment. Jealous colleague knows your insecurities. They'll spread them during coffee breaks. Stoic philosophers called this inner fortress. You build walls not from cruelty, but from psychological hygiene. Like those investigation protocols where sensitive intel stays compartmentalized, not because they distrust everyone, but because leaks happen. And in the social game, everyone leaks sometimes. Now, the disturbing layer: when you stop seeking external validation, you automatically become more interesting. Because humans are pattern recognition creatures, and you just broke the pattern. They're wired to read emotions, and you became white noise on their radar. This generates cognitive discomfort, and cognitive discomfort, paradoxically, generates attraction. The power law here is visceral. Keep others in suspense by cultivating an unpredictable air. But apply this to your emotional presence. Don't be the person everyone can read like a children's book. Be the encrypted file that causes curiosity precisely because it's inaccessible. Know what this does. In professional environments, you become difficult to manipulate. In social settings, you become difficult to categorize. In romantic contexts, you become difficult to forget. All because you stopped giving away your instruction manual for free. Sovereignty. The question that defines everything: are you living your life or narrating your life for an invisible audience that will never save you? If something here resonated, drop that discreet like a warrior nodding in silence. And subscribe, because the next video goes even deeper into this rabbit hole. But there's something I still haven't told you. How social ghosts build empires while influencers implode. Want to know the most disturbing secret? The most powerful people I know have under 200 followers, and the loudest ones have millions, and they're completely shattered inside. Here's what nobody will tell you: the attention economy is an emotional Ponzi scheme. You trade privacy for likes, likes for dopamine, dopamine for existential emptiness, and in the end, you've built a golden cage where you must perform 24/7 to maintain the illusion of relevance. Meanwhile, the invisible person? They're building systems, real relationships with the 5 people who matter, strategic moves nobody sees until they're complete. Like chess players who sacrifice noisy pawns to protect the silent queen. There's a reason real billionaires don't have personal Instagram accounts. Why CEOs of trillion-dollar companies avoid interviews. Why the greatest military strategists in history were total ghosts. They understood that exposure is weakness disguised as power. The final power law, the most brutal: learn to keep people dependent on you. But flip the game. Don't make people dependent on your constant presence. Make them dependent on your rare appearance. Your words carry more weight because you speak less. Your presence impacts more because you disappear strategically. Your opinion matters more because you don't throw it into every random debate. Now, the part that sounds conspiratorial, but is pure psychology. Social algorithms are designed to addict you to exposure. Because the more you post, the more data you generate. More data, more psychological profiling, more control over your consumption and voting behavior. You're not expressing yourself, you're feeding a behavioral prediction machine. The strategically antisocial person. They hack the system by simply exiting it. Don't give data. Don't generate patterns. Don't become predictable. And that, in a world of total algorithmic surveillance, is the last possible superpower. Think about it. If your life were a spy thriller, would you be the agent whose file has 3 pages or the fool with 300 pages of cataloged vulnerabilities? The question nobody wants to face: how much of what you share is authenticity, and how much is just fear of being forgotten? Sovereign invisibility. Here's your mission. Comment below the last time you did not share something important and felt the power in that. Drop that like if you realized exposure isn't power. Subscribe if you want to master this psychological game. And share this with that one person who urgently needs to stop giving away their emotional blueprint for free. And if you made it this far, you already know there are more hidden layers. Many more. Disclaimer: this content is educational and focused on strategic personal development. The techniques presented aim for self-awareness, emotional control, and psychological protection, never harmful manipulation. Use responsibly and ethically.